In this video, I'm going to show you how to install CQ and the files that I'll be using in this video series. So you can see I've created 3 folders on the desktop. There's a code snippets folder that contains all of the code that I'll be using in this video. There's also a CQ-author folder and a CQ-publish folder. I've taken the CQ jar file and placed that jar file in both the author and the publish folder. I'm going to open up the author folder here. You'll see that you have a quick start file, and it says CQ-quickstart-555. It may be a little different on your version, but what we're going to do is we're going to install an actual author instance of CQ. This is what's going to allow business people to utilize things like the Sidekick to easily create websites and to add content within the website based on what the templates and that sort of thing that the developers have created. So in order to install this, I'm just going to rename this jar file. So I'm going to right-click on it in this case and just say Get Info, and I'm going to rename this. So instead of calling it Quick Start, I'm going to call it CQ-author, and then I'm going to choose the port that I want it to run on, which in this case is port 4502. So I'm going to put in 4502, just like so, and that will install an authoring instance of CQ on port 4502. And you'll see that this is actually dependent on Java. You'll see that it's a jar file. So for those of you on Windows, you may actually need to go out to the Oracle website and download the latest JDK and make sure that that's installed and working. And again, instructions are provided there on the Oracle website to make sure that that is working. Okay, so we've renamed that to the 4502, and then generally you have a publish instance of CQ as well. And again, this is one of the most powerful features of CQ, is the fact that we handle the delivery of the website. So this makes it easy to tailor the website for things like mobile devices, for tablets, for all different sorts of devices. And again, we can make sure that the right content gets to the right person. So for example, I can have different content going to a 40-year-old guy versus a 26-year-old female. So that's very powerful, and by having a publish instance, that's what allows us to control all this. So in the publish folder here that you've created, the CQ-publish, you'll see I've also just copied that jar file. So what I'm going to do is just rename this. So again, I'll choose Get Info. I'm on a Mac here. Again, you can just do rename in Windows, of course. And I'm going to just say CQ, and I'm going to say publish, and I'm going to run this on a different port than my authoring instance. So in this case, this is running on port 4503, and you should, of course, see that your authoring instance is running on port 4502. Okay, so I'm going to rename that, and once everything happens, the author's gone ahead and created the website and done all of that, it will automatically replicate that to the publish instance. Okay, so for now, what I'm going to do is just start the authoring instance. Okay, so I'm going to double-click here, and that should go through the installation process and make sure that your authoring instance is working. And you'll see again, if this is the first time, it'll create this folder here called crx.quickstart. Also make sure that you've placed, before you start that, make sure that you've placed your license.properties file in that directory, okay, which you should have installed as well. And you'll see there's your license.properties in the publish instance. And in this case, I'm not going to start my publishing instance because for now we're going to focus on the authoring side. And the authoring side, again, you may not have enough resources on your machine to run both an authoring and a publish, unless you have a lot of RAM or a very powerful machine. So for now, I'm just going to run the authoring instance. And what you should do, if it didn't happen automatically, is you should simply be able to go out to localhost 4502, and you'll be presented with a login screen. Okay, so here's CQ5. You can just type in admin, and this is the default login for the administrator. Of course, later on you'd want to change that, but you'll go ahead and log in, and you could see here is CQ5. Now, when I go into a website, for example here, and I open up a particular site, so let's say I open up the Geometrix Outdoors site, okay, and let's open up the men's page and see what that looks like. To be sure that you've installed the authoring instance effectively, you should see the Sidekick once you view a page. And the Sidekick is what allows authors to easily add content to this website, and again, without having to know any of the technical details. So you'll see that. We have the Content Finder, but we don't actually see the Sidekick. Let's take a look at a different page that may not have been enabled on that page. Let's look at one of the shirt sites, and we should see the Sidekick at some point. Okay, so you'll see I click on it, and there's the page. It might take just a little while for the first time, but you should see the Sidekick pop up. I'm going to just choose Allow, And there you go. There's your CQ Sidekick, and you'll see all of the different components that you're able to utilize inside of this website, and authors can easily just drag and drop those components directly onto the page and be able to update the page very easily. So that's the process of installing both an authoring and a publish instance for CQ.